Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the Premium Bandai Master Grade Powered GM. Again, now whether you want to call this a GM or a GM, I'm probably going to be using them interchangeably throughout this review, as I usually do. Most of the time I say GM though, it's just how I always read it anyway. Point is, big thank you once again to my friend Alex for giving me this kit, and as I may have mentioned in the unboxing or not, I don't remember at the moment, my plan for this is to just paint it up. I might do a little bit of modification to it, but we'll see more about that. I'll do some work in progress video or something, but at least just painting this up and then giving it back to my friend just as a gift. Alex, here in this, I have two very generous friends named Alex. This one that I'm referring to is the one here in Korea, who has donated quite a few kits to multiple giveaways and stuff over the past couple of years. So we really, here at my channel, we really owe him quite a lot of thanks. So thanks, Alex. This kit is really nice, actually. I was very impressed with how much I enjoyed this kit. It was one, as I said before, that I was kind of on the fence, you know, if I want to get it or not. It didn't really look, you know, all that impressive. It's a design that's pretty obscure. I'm not really the biggest Jim fan, but this one is pretty cool. I just like the kind of extra armor on it. It actually really looks like something out of Halo or something. It looks like some Spartan armor or something, especially with the head and visor. I think all that, and now it like has more bulky, so it just looks like that. Anyway, it could just be me, but anyway, yeah, just cool kit overall. So it's going to be pretty simple. If you remember from the unboxing, that this is basically including parts from the Master Grade GM Kai, the Master Grade Gundam RX-78-2 Verka, and the Master Grade Gundam Mark II version 2.0. So there is a lot of leftover parts from this. There is a lot of wasted plastic. The other thing is that with this being based on mostly old kits, most of the design, you know, like the outer features are going to be pretty basic. It's not really going to have a whole lot of detail. That could be seen as a plus or minus. You know, people who are just planning on just building this just straight out of the box, not doing anything to it, might come off as a little bit boring, a little bit dull on the surface. For people who like to do a lot of modifications and detailing themselves, it's a big, wide open canvas to detail the heck out of this. So I think this could be really cool for some people who like to do that. The other thing is the articulation. Now the articulation in some places is fine, I think still holds up perfectly fine. In some places the articulation is of course going to be a little bit dated, but overall I think the overall look of this kit, it looks very impressive. It does have, you know, inner frame only in some parts, like the forearms there's no inner frame, the body basically there's no inner frame because there is like a core block system in there. So yeah, there's pros and cons ultimately though. You know, it just depends on you. Why don't we take a closer look here at the articulation. One of my small complaints about this kit is that the clear piece for the visor is not really the most clear. It's like a little bit dull, kind of foggy. So I'm not really too keen on that, but hopefully like once the piece inside is painted, then you'll be able to see some of the details. There is of course details in there behind the visor. Hopefully you'll be able to see that better once that's painted. The head is going to be able to go up about like that far, down to about there, and of course turn and do all that kind of normal fun stuff. In the torso, as I said, there's a core block in here, so you can see there's that. And the cockpit pilot is seated inside of there. So a lot of nice really nice detail there. That just plugs onto there like that. The cockpit hatch does open up a little bit like that, not really a whole lot. But really nice yellow parts feeding through the front and the back. Here's all the new backpack here. These thruster bells will move a tiny bit, but not really a whole lot. They're pretty much just fixed there. We have the beam saber handle there stored on the backpack. The arms, now the arms are just this style of arm where it's just a straight peg, so there's no articulation like in the shoulder. Of course it'll spin and move up and down, but the shoulder itself, that mechanism doesn't move anywhere. So shoulder is going to be one point of articulation that is definitely going to be lacking with this kit, but the elbow does get a nice double bend there. So pretty good there at the elbow. Wrist is just on a ball joint, but again, it's not really going to be the most articulated. The hands are the Master Grade style hands where the thumb is on a ball joint and then the fingers are separated, 3 fingers and 1, so kind of older style Master Grade hands. I'm okay with that, but in this case they don't really hold the weapons too well. We'll come back to that in a bit. So in the waist, we do have a little bit of movement here, but it's not really a whole lot. That's just the ball joint under the core block there. So we have some rotation, of course, but the front and back, that's kind of going to be more of just a loose wobble, really, than a point of articulation. The front skirts are going to move just fine. There's kind of detail under there, not really. The side skirts are just really basic here. Those are just going to move up and down. The back skirt will not move. It's just fixed here, but this part here does open up. There, you can open up that to store the bazooka on the back skirt there. The legs are just, there's no twisting at the top. I mean, it's twisting there, but that's just on the ball joint. I mean, the actual leg is not rotating at all. It's just moving around on the ball joint. It's just popped straight onto a ball joint. So that's another point of articulation that's kind of not that great. They go out pretty wide like that, so you can see it's pretty good range of movement. You really wouldn't want it to go out too much farther than that. But when you're moving the legs out, that's as far as they're going to go, not very far, so you're not going to be able to get it like super dynamic, but it's pretty good, I think. It's really not too bad. The knee also does have a nice double joint, but you can see here there's that part, that gray part that sticks out there. On the normal kit, I think you might not have this problem, but on this kit, this larger knee armor, when you bend that, that part runs in, you see the inside the knee, that white part, that gray part, and that white part hit each other just barely, so it is going to be scratching paint if you paint this kit. So what you might want to do is maybe just cut out that white part there, or just cut it down or something, just shave it down. You can't really shave down too much of this gray part because it's holding on this detail inside there, which is just like a piston detail you can see up inside the thigh. It's the same thing down here inside the knee, but not really going to see that. So I guess you could just kind of omit that part because you're not really going to actually have much use for it. I don't know what that would do to hinder your movement at all. Probably wouldn't, you know, alter the movement too much. Anyway, the point is nice double bend here in the knee. And so at the ankle, we have our ankle armor, which is going to move just a little bit. We have these new pieces that just snap around the side. You are going to have a pretty nasty seam line though here down the middle of the back of the ankle armor. That's because it has so many edges there, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get rid of that seam line, but that's there. The feet are going to be able to move side to side a little bit, forward and back a little bit. Down is pretty okay, forward not a whole lot. They are just flat, so there's no point of articulation within the feet, like the toes don't move separately. Nice detail though underneath, and that's pretty much going to be it for the articulation. So overall, okay, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just kind of there. Now there are, of course, foil stickers for this kit. I didn't use them just because I am planning on painting this, so there's not really too much of a point. It's just kind of more work for me to have to do. But basically these stickers, there's going to be some vent ones that go inside the front of the leg, inside there. These long black bars are going to go across this black part here, the back of the ankle. And then a couple other small black details there, so didn't use those. There were also screws, if you remember. I also haven't used those, and the kit's staying together just fine, so I think you probably could get by without using these. I'll put them in, you know, when I do like a final assembly when I'm painting it, but for now it just didn't really have any point. Also because I was assembling this at work where I didn't have a screwdriver. And also just to remind you, we did also have this really nice set of waterslide decals as well. We'll definitely be using some of these, but of course you're not going to use all of these, so definitely we will have some nice EFSF extra waterslide decals after this. One other part that I didn't use, we have this cloth tubing that's supposed to go here on the back of the legs, the back of the knee there, you can see on both sides there. Haven't used this. Again, this is something I'll put on during the final assembly, but just we have that. Then aside from our seated pilot figure, we also have our standing pilot figure here, just a generic kind of boring standing pilot figure with no base on it. And we have two beam effect parts here in clear pink. Yes, I know there's a nub on that one. And our shield, just pretty basic GM style shield here. There's a clear piece in there, which I will probably just take out. I will probably just won't use that for the final assembly, because here on the back, you can see the back of that clear piece is like here and just doesn't really look that good. Probably would just look better just without that. And our second beam saber is stored here. Now you can see there's storage for two, so you could actually store both of them here if you didn't want to put that one on the back for whatever reason. But we do have a second beam saber here. We have two different attachment parts for attaching this. Just look, there's a lot of nice detail there, but this doesn't move up and down. You can see there's like a fake track there. Anyway, two different attachment parts for attaching this onto the arm. This one you'll use if you want to have it on the back of the arm. This one you use if you want to have it on the side of the arm. So I kind of like that. Usually they would just do like this as one piece, but then the downside of that is like if I have it on the side of the arm, then I have this just kind of ugly peg sticking off the back. I can of course cut that down, but it's just kind of nice. They just save you the trouble and just give you two separate pieces. So I prefer that. I like this one that uses it on the side of the arm. Just going to plug in, you can see on the back of the arm on either the left or the right side. Both has that, just plugs onto there, and it's nice and secure on the arm. Now for the weapons, with the most simple thing here is just this small little GM style beam spray gun. Now this is pretty nice here. It's a pretty cool just design overall. It has this little part that flips out. So if I can get this out here like that. There, that flips out, and then you have this little thing that will allow you to put this onto the side skirt. So you'll just have to slip this into here and then just kind of clip that down into place, and then that's connected onto the side skirt like so. And then we have our bazooka. As I showed you, this can attach onto the back skirt, so the handle will move a little bit forward and back. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. We have our ammo pack, which is on there. Among the extra parts that we have, and there's a lot of them, you have parts to make a second ammo clip, so you could use that and then just like stick it onto the back skirt or something if you wanted to. You'd have to mod that a little bit, but you could do that. No stickers here for the cameras or anything for these, so you'll definitely have to do something about that. And then the last thing is this rifle. Now there actually is there's a couple different ways that you can use this. I've actually kind of got it in a kind of mix match. There's two different barrels. So there's this barrel like this, which I quite like. And then the other one is this one here. You just pull that off, switch that. This is a shorter one. This one is kind of more typical for a GM. I prefer the other one though, so there's that. I like this one here. And then for the back as well, you have this ammo clip, one with the ammo clip sticking up. You can just pull that out and switch it out if you want for this one with the ammo clip pointing down, and then you have this part which attaches onto the top of here, if I can not drop it, like that. You can use this, but the problem with this is that you can see obviously this is sticking down, so that's going to be in the way when you're trying to hold this in the arm. When you're trying to hold that in the hand, the ammo is kind of in the way. So I feel like that one's kind of a little bit useless. It's going to be really hard to hold that. You have to hold that at an angle and it looks kind of goofy, so I just think I'm not going to use that one. The cool thing you can do though is after you remove that part and then remove the front, then we have this piece here which will allow you to kind of store the beam rifle in like a collapsed form, or not collapsed, sorry, but just kind of to keep these extra parts. So like we'll just put these on here like this. So then you can store these parts on here, and then like if with your rifle you use the other parts. So like say you're using these like this form, and then you have these extra parts, you can put them onto this runner, this part here, and then clip this part into the back skirt like the same way you would with the bazooka, so you can't carry both, you'd have to carry one or the other. But you can keep that on there to keep your extra rifle parts in there, which is kind of cool. If you're not using the bazooka, or if you're not really using that on the back skirt, that will just go into here like this. Alright, I had that part switched the wrong way around there. But there you go, just like that. So kind of a cool thing, right? So here he is all loaded up with everything, and compared here with the HG powered GM cardigan, I don't really have a whole lot of GM kits to be honest, and so this was one of the few, and it's kind of close. The powered GM cardigan is basically a powered GM, just modified there of course in HG 1/44 scale form. So you can see the similarities. Anyway, just to give you an idea, the powered GM kit here, the master grade, is actually quite large. At least it feels like that. When I was building it, it felt, you know, kind of large for a size. I mean, it's a 18 meter typical like 1/100 scale size Gundam, but it maybe just because of how bulky that chest and backpack are, just I don't know, definitely gave it the feeling of being kind of larger than I expected. Now if you're wondering why I'm not posing this up on an action base, that is because this has no action base connector with this kit. This is from before a time when action bases were widely used by Bandai. So what you can do is take the kind of fork style adapter, and it shows you this in the manual, part of the action base 1, and use that for this kit. But I was trying that and it's kind of still hard to do that. What you have to do with that part is you have to cut it down actually to make it shorter, and it was still just kind of like not really working, so I decided okay, just not gonna do with that. So if you are planning on using this on an action base, I think probably what would maybe be the best thing to do is just drill a hole into the bottom of the waist unit here, and then just use the peg style connection. Or, you know, just make a new piece or something, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. How I'm planning on displaying the kit though, it doesn't really matter because like I said, I'm planning on painting this and then just having it just standing. But again, that is kind of disappointing just for me personally, just because I like putting stuff up, kits up on action bases to show their articulation and stuff. And this kit, I think the articulation is not bad. Based on how old the base kits are here, but it's kind of hard to show that when it's just on the ground, unfortunately, so it is kind of definitely a few points off there. The other very unfortunate thing is that the weapons aren't really able to be held very well. The two different rifles and the bazooka are all made for other kits, or they're just, the handles are just not made to be held by these hands. Now, what I would probably recommend you do is maybe just get some HG Builders Parts hands. The problem with those is that those are super detailed and not really going to match the look of this kit. With this kit, just overall, obviously, as you can see here, doesn't have a lot of detail. It has some parts here and there that have some nice details, but as I mentioned before, it doesn't really have a lot. So if you put on some like super detailed hands, I think that looks a little bit out of place. That is one option though. Otherwise, I don't know, you might want to look into some other third-party hands or something, maybe from Kotobukiya or something like that, because they're just really not able to hold the rifles or the bazooka all that well. So that is definitely one issue that I've found with this kit that is also kind of disappointing. So overall, I think I'm pleased with the kit, despite those problems that it has. Of course, the number one complaints that I've been seeing of this kit are, number one, of course, that it's p-bandai. Number two is just that it should have been based off of the GM Master Grade 2.0 kit. Yeah, I agree. Of course the kit would have been better if it had the GM 2.0 inner frame inside there and all of that comes with, but I think that just the look of that kit and just the way that it's shaped and proportioned is just quite different from this one, of course. The proportions of the base kit for this, the GM Kai and the RX-782 Verka, just have a different look to them, and honestly I kind of prefer this look, so I really like the way that this kit is proportioned and just shaped and everything. So I'm quite pleased with this, but of course if you wanted a kit that was super nicely articulated and all of that, then yeah, of course the 2.0 would have been more nicer. So I hear people's complaints about that and the fact that it's p-bandai as well. I think that you have to expect that this would be p-bandai. This is a kit that probably not a whole lot of people were asking for. It is just kind of a variant that appeared in a show for just a couple minutes, even though we've had master grades, specifically those from Build Fighters, who were the same, where they only appeared in the episode for a few minutes, but I don't know, there's arguments that could be made that those maybe should have been p-bandai as well, but anyway. The point is that I'm pleased with the kit. I'm happy with it. I can't wait to paint this and work on this. So I've got other stuff that I'm working on at the moment. I'll be working on this soon, so you can look forward to some work in progress videos. Probably not a whole lot, because like I said, probably not going to be doing a whole lot to this, but do want to maybe try out experimenting a couple things, but we'll see at the time. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting to take a look at something p-bandai for a change. Don't do that too often here on my channel, but when I do have something, I like to show it off to you guys. So catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye. And one last thing I'll show you guys here. This is all the extra parts that you have. So you have pretty much a whole GM Kai's backpack. You have the chest piece. You have basically tons and tons of parts from the Master Grade Gundam Mark II version 2.0 kit. You have a whole bunch of armor. You have pretty much the entire beam rifle from that kit. It's only missing one part to connect the camera there on the top. A whole bunch of armor. We have like almost all the backpack parts for that, except for a couple of like joint parts in the backpack. Just armor parts for the legs, and then like parts for a head as well. So there's a whole bunch of extra parts here that you can use for other stuff. As I said, there's like ammo packs and stuff that you could use But yeah, quite a lot left over to throw in your extra parts bin.